It's Cordy. Today I wanted to show you guys what's going on with all of the new news about pets being increased. I've gotten a lot of questions about how the pet system works, and um, in addition, I wanted to give you guys an idea of how tiny they really are. I hear a lot of people talking about things like, "Hey, I can't wait to fill my barn that I made with, all these wonderful pets," but they're super tiny, super cute, but like itty bitty. You're never gonna see them like in the stalls that you've built for your pets. Hey, crazy cat lady. Hey, Jaeger and Pole. How's it going? So to start, I figured I would show you where we get the pet beds. On the Alliance side, you're going to come up next to the bulletin board, and there's a brand new NPC that is only selling pet things. His name is Periwinkle. He's in this little house. I actually hope that we get some of these kinds of pet toys and things like that as we go along, but for right now, at least on PTR, all he has are the beds. There's a whole bunch of different kinds. Actually, none of these are actually the pet bed like we unlocked if you had purchased the special with Habitat for Humanity. Those pet beds work also. They are actually like 1,000 gold, where all of these pet beds with periwinkles are only 50 each. My favorite are these lily pads. I'm just gonna buy a couple of them to show you how you can place them. So you've got this really cute lily pad, which I think is great for all of the water features that people build. These are kind of ugly. The pets don't actually wind up inside of them. It's just the build that they made for these little pet cages. Everything shows up on top anytime you pick to place a pet. So odd design choice, and I'm going to buy them just because it doesn't really matter. For the most part, I hide them in the flooring. This they have for your pets, like the dragons. This is actually kind of neat because it's lit up a little more than the other ones. So if you wanted to place it, even if you sunk it in the ground, you wind up having kind of like an extra light source. They have a little bird's nest for like your, I don't even know. I don't even know if they have eagles or like your wild birds, but they have a cute little nest for them if you wanted to place them there. Another kind of aggressive pet cage that they don't actually wind up inside of. Then they have this loyal companion, like essentially stone item. It's kind of bulky. I could see it if you wanted to sink it into the floor. If you had those marbly floors, maybe it would match well if you wanted to leave a bit out or use it kind of like an accent in certain spots. And then I guess they were really into this pet crate cage thing because they have three different kinds of them. There's also a brand new tab in your decor catalog under functional, which is pet beds. So if you click on that, you'll see everything that's a functional item. This cherished pet rug is actually a part of the Bakar Endeavor. So when we get that, this will be purchasable with coupons. Here's the beds that I was talking about earlier that are 1,000 gold each. They're a more traditional pet bed. The only way that you can get those is if you purchase the Habitat for Humanity Rufus package. These are dyeable a couple different ways. They have one with a blanket and one without. And then I don't know about this water bowl, if just placing this on the floor would let you summon a pet like a pet bed. It's under functional. I feel like it'll work that way, but we can't test it because this also is part of that Bakar endeavor. And the only thing that we've been able to test on the PTR has been um, the troll, the Amani trolls, because that's the first one that everybody is going to get. So there's a bunch of trolls hanging out, but we've never not been able to actually see or click on the other items. I'm just going to port to the house and I can start showing you how these get placed and how tiny they really are. Hopefully this returns me to home and not somewhere else so that we don't have to go the long way. This doesn't look promising though, because I think this is the screen for Silver Moon. And it is. I was checking out the decor dual items earlier, so I think I can use it again to go back, though. I can. So we're going to go there. We'll see how easy it is to place them. I actually think that for Blizzard, how complicated they can make things, the UI for these pet beds is super simple. It's easy to use. Um, let's see here. So we're outside. Now outside allows us to place 25. It says that I've placed 5 out here. The pets didn't load in for some reason. I had a couple farm type pets hanging out over here and they didn't come back. Let's see here. Here we go. I don't even know what I would have called them to place them or which ones I placed in there because I was just placing to get an idea. Oh, here's a pet cage. Hang on, back up. What else? I know I placed more than just the 2 of them with whatever I had because I was going to throw them in the ground anyway. Oh, here's one of these. Farm incubator. I don't know why it's glitched. Typically, the pets hang out where you place them when you come and go, but we'll just place them again because I wanted to show how it works anyway. Um, so basically, what you do is you click on the customize mode. This is the button third in. It's essentially what you have been using all along to dye your items. And when you click on it, it's going to pop up with an option to assign your pet. And then on the other side of the screen over here, as you can see, it's going to filter through all the pets you have. You can set it a multitude of ways. Typically, if I know roughly what I want to put there, you can type it in. So, like, if I wanted to place Marmaduke, I know that he's awesome and I love him. You could type it in or start typing it in, and you can click. Outside, everything has to be stationary for right now. I guess they need to get a better idea of limit testing, how it would be to have them pathing and what people do with their 25 pets. So for now, all the pets that you place outside, all they can do is just stand there. But once you pick the one you want, roaming is not an option. You just hit apply. And now you see kind of like a ghost. And when you back out, they'll be there. I hide these in the ground because I don't really need to see them and it doesn't affect the placement of the pet. Marmaduke is great. He's one of the few pets that I've kind of come across that still take a command. So you can tell him if you can tell him to sit down and then he'll sit. You can tell him to lay down and he curls up in a little ball and he'll he'll take a nap. So and he wags his little tail. He's absolutely my favorite because he's interactive. I'm sure there are other pets like that out there. I haven't found them yet. I've kind of been testing them as I go along. I thought it would be great if I could find a cat that did that. I do want to go get that Jennifer cat. That one I think has interactions like this, which I imagine will carry over. But just repeating the process to give you an idea. All right, say you want to place a farm animal. You're like, you know what? I want a farm critter and I know that there's a lamb. Well, maybe it's called the sheep. I know it's there because I saw it, but we can't find it nonetheless because I don't remember its name. So we'll uncheck all of them so it stops filtering everything. You can come back in and tell it, all right, I want to check out. I think it might be under the critters, and it's going to list all of the ones that you've collected here. Oh, here it is, a little mossy Rosie. So she's the little sheep. So again, you can't have it roam, but if you were inside and you wanted to, this drop down would do that. You can apply. She comes up a little hazy, so you know you've done it right, but you don't want to have her on top of this ugly crate, so you put it into the ground, and then when you escape out, there they are. But it's tiny, right? So, I mean, my shaman is small, and just because we don't have a banana for purposes of what does this look like, it's kind of small. Like if you built a barn and you thought you were going to put barn animals in it and it was going to look more realistically scaled, unfortunately, it's not. Some animals, I think, for some reason, just scale a little more normally in my mind. Um, but a lot of these farm animals, for some reason, seem to just be super tiny. Hmm. See if we wanted to place another critter, we would uncheck all of them. We can come back, search back through your critters, and find another. See, here's another thing. People have asked me a couple of times, hey, Cordy, do I have to collect multiples of these to place them? And you don't. That is kind of a nice thing. If you wanted to put another Rosie there, even though as you can see here, I've only collected one of them, it doesn't matter. You can apply it and then now you'll have a second Rosie roaming. Or well, not roaming because they can out here, but I guess grazing is the better word. And then when you back out, you have two of them. So that is a nice thing. You don't have to technically go out and collect multiple copies. And even at that, you'd be barred at three of them, right? So at least here, if you wanted to put 10 Rosies and have a whole bunch of itty bitty cute tiny little mossy sheep, you could do that. Um, for these, I thought it was fun, and earlier I had been playing around and I found like a flower pet. Let's see it here. I don't remember what it was called. Like I was just kind of scrolling through to see, oh, what do I have? Do I have anything neat? There's like the flowery guy. You apply that, and there they go. So with this one, if you wanted to hide him in there, you just drop that down, and you kind of have your little mushroomy guy over there. But that's essentially, you know, as easy as it is to really place the pets. Like I said, I thought they did a fantastic job in identifying an easy way to understand and place them. Um, let's see what else we have to throw in this one over here. Say you wanted to place a little dragon, when they fly up, they'll just continue to fly, but you can still obviously hide the thing. So it goes down, and then it just looks like he's hanging out, you know, in your flower pot. So there's definitely a lot of options and things you could do. On the interior is where it gets a little more fun because you can have them roam around. Um, with that said, having them roam around, they don't really path all that far and they don't path in an intuitive way. So, um, as you'll see here in a second, I'm trying to figure out where I put it. Oh, here it is. Um, I've got a couple pets out here. Again, Marmaduke, because I really like him, and one of the Murlocs. And they'll essentially path in this like square area here, up to maybe this part of this little aquarium and to the chair. But as you can see, like the furniture, and this is furniture that, obviously they provided to us. I didn't do anything crazy or special here. It's not like I've put pieces together to make this chair and it doesn't know it's a chair, or I made this coffee cup and it doesn't understand that that's what it is. Like it'll walk on top of it and just stand up there. So that's like a weird thing to me. I could understand it fully if it was something that we made special and these pets didn't understand the pathing, but I did think it was weird how they kind of roam around. I'm all about the aquarium, so I tested this um, pretty extensively to try to identify what kind of aquatic animals could I cage here in a cartel. These are cartel collector cages. How would they react? So most of the aquatic animals stay inside of this little fish tank that I threw together. Um, for some reason, the only fish that actually stays inside and will just swim about here is the one called Happy that came from Plunderstorm. All of the other fish that I try to place will leave the cage. So that was kind of a disappointing thing to some degree because I really wanted to fill my aquarium up with all these fun fish and let them kind of swim about. And that doesn't really work. For them, they would have to stay stationary where the other ones will path around. And they have a little aquatic tab, so we can go down to that. And like I said, the only one that stays is that Happy. So if we picked this Patos guy and we told him we wanted him to roam around, he is going to quickly leave, and he's now disappeared behind the wall somewhere because the fish tank is up against the wall. So but he will like leave this space. I don't know where he goes, but somewhere. And I don't even have a room over there to like see where he's wandered to, but here, like they don't stay. So that's kind of unfortunate. However, the frog will stay in there, the eels, um, I love the squid, they stay, all of the crabs hang out in there. You'll watch them periodically roam about, but this little snail stays. They don't leave the space like the little fish does. But on the other hand, the fix to that is essentially just replacing him and telling him this time you're not allowed to roam around because you can't be trusted in the house. So we're going to keep you in one space instead. So you can pick that pet again, drop down here where it says roaming and stationary. You say stationary, you apply it, and now the pet will remain just hanging out. So the fish will just chill there, but he's not going to move around like the other aquatic animals. And I know that this is kind of messy. I just put it together purely for testing purposes to see what it would do in the aquarium, the aquariums that I built. But as you can see, these are all kind of tiny too. And that's one of the things that I wanted to show. If we put out a bunch of these, just throw them down just to get an idea. Um, they're all going to be super tiny. So be aware of that when you go to place stuff. Here's a little blizzard bear, and he's super small. Like they're all going to be pretty tiny. Um, here's like a little, what do you call it? Like a little reindeer. That one was actually a bit taller, which is good if you were trying to put things outside in a barn or trying to replicate that. At least those would be a bit taller. Your humanoids are another thing that while we're talking about it, not all of those pets are placeable, like ones that are really truly like humanoids. That pet Una, you cannot place her. She's not in your list. There's a guild page that can't be placed. So I think things that actually look like a human, Blizzard must have been like, you know what, this is kind of a no-go for us. We don't know what kind of creepy things people are going to wind up doing, so um, we're not going to let you paste them. The little imps, those are a ton of fun. Um, but your beasts and critters are all going to be pretty small, just so you're aware as you start to go through and look at them. Um, this one's super cute. I like Buttercup, but she's small. She's small too, but bigger than, some of the others. So, as you see these start to kind of roam around, none of them are, like I said, going to go very far. They've got their little square that they kind of roam, and they don't really interact with each other all that much. These guys, I think I forgot to tell them that they were okay to pass about. It's an easy fix, though. You just go back in and you can switch it to roaming, and they'll do that when you exit back out. So lots of possibilities. Um, they definitely make all of their animated noises still. Um, so there's that as well. Even if you have them stationary somewhere, they'll continue to do all the fun things and noises, and they're sitting still animation. They'll wag their tails or whatever uh, they'll do. And these are, like I said, like kind of rather large. Like this is kind of like absurdly big. But you can scale them. Unfortunately, the pets don't scale with it. Even if you have one placed and then you try to move it around, it doesn't really work that way. But there are a lot of options for placing them. Like I don't really put them out where you're able to see them other than the lily pads, because that just kind of makes a nice bottom um, to your tank. But um, if you wanted to keep these out, you could put them wherever you wanted, and they would, if you set them to roam, they would just roam about. Um, there's a cute little duck that could wander around, and it's really, the options are limitless. I know some people have collected a ton um, of pets, and that's awesome, because it's going to be a lot of personalization once people really get in there and start playing around with what they have. So I can imagine there'll be a lot of fun zoo rooms and just so much. But like, this is what I mean by like the scaling. You would expect that kind of like a dinosaur pet might be bigger than, you know, this rampaging buttercup, and that this little baby blizzard bear would probably be bigger than, most of these other things like the duck. But you can easily make it look a little bit like a zoo in your space. I suppose if you placed one closer to the doorway, maybe it would leave rooms. That's something someone had asked me. Oh, well, does it go, but do the pets ever go between rooms? So I guess in this instance, you're going to pick a space. Maybe we've confused him. Oh, there he goes. So I suppose that's the key. If you want them to roam around like a living room and, a room next to it, that's what you would have to try to do. I wanted to, let me see if I can do this with myself in the house. I don't know if I can. I think it would have made me exit anyway. But I had copied my house, and I was going to paste it back in to show you how it interacts with some other furniture. like I said, it's not intuitive, but you can set stationary pets to look like um, they're supposed to be there on furniture. So to do that, when you want to import something, there's a blueprint tab. And once you click on it, if it's one of your own, you can just tell it like, okay, um, I want to do my full interior. And this one I just called all. And you can hit view list, like if you start to import other people's stuff. And it's going to show you the rooms that are used. So in this build, I used 3 closets, 2 hallways, whatever the case may be here. And it tells you how many are there. And then it'll give you an idea of the decor place. So I had 2103, or it thinks that I have 2103 out of 2113. So you can tell it, you know what, show me what I'm missing only. And it'll list out, you have 4 out of 6 of these, or you don't have any of these. It'll still let you place it. The only thing it will hard stop you at is if you're trying to place a room that, like if somebody built in a room and you don't have that unlocked and you don't have it, like a daylight circle room, it doesn't let you pick another room. You're just going to be locked into whatever it is, so it won't do it. The other thing that it won't let you do is go from an alliance exterior to a horde exterior. Even if you don't, like if you have it hidden, or maybe you just really liked somebody's pool and you wanted to put it in your horde house or outside of your horde house, it won't let you because you can't have a match on the rooms, and this is something that you absolutely need. Um, but say you've looked at this and you're good to go, and now you're like, okay, I want to import it. You can just right click on it and tell it import, and it's gonna say, going to show you everything here. Like, okay, you want to do that? And you're like, yes, I do. So it'll come up with its little, hey, everything's going to change, but it's going to save a backup, which is nice because if you ever accidentally decide you want to import something and then you're like, oh man, mistakes were made, you can revert back to the save from before then. So this should have fixed up the interior to what it would have looked like before I started playing with it on PTR. And copied over what should be here is if you went to retail and you looked at my house in live. The only thing that for some reason this does not do, and it's a glitch that hopefully they'll fix, it doesn't save the colors for some reason. Like I have enough dyes in my bag to cover, you know, whatever it needs to be, and it doesn't do that. But what I wanted to give an example of is, say you were like, you know what, I really want to place, oh, the rotation bug is terrible here too. That was something they were supposed to have fixed. I'll have to put in a comment on that. They had pushed out a couple of different uh, I don't know, whatever you call it, this last update, a couple of different patches that were supposed to fix this, and it clearly has not. But if you wanted to put your pet on top of your bed, you could pick any of the beds. Really, it doesn't matter. Um, you'll just place it like you normally would have. You'll assign your pet. I'm going to do Marmaduke because I know that he interacts in a way where I can have him sit down or lay down. You just tell him to be stationary instead of roam. You hit apply. And then you'll do the same thing. You'll drop it underneath to hide it. And then when you come back out, there he is. And if you wanted to have him sit on the edge of your bed, you tell him to sit. If you said, you know what, I'd really like to have a dog snuggled up, if you want him to lay down, you just tell him to lay, and there he goes. You'll have a cute little snuggly guy like that. I wanted to also show, since we have the time for it, these new artisanal rooms. To do that, I am going to go back and revert to what the interior of the house looked like before because it will give me more room. Yeah, it is, right? Isn't that adorable? I think there's a lot of potential for putting the pet stationary and figuring out which of them interact in a way where you can have them lay down or sit down. Particularly some of the people who really like cats to be able to put a cat snuggled up on the sofa or, you want to put a cat or a dog or any other kind of animal you want in front of the fireplace. There should be a way to do that. Hopefully, as I keep looking through them, I can identify what pets will let you do that versus which ones just don't listen to any commands, and maybe something in the future that they could do. Yes, I definitely feel like the crazy cat ladies are waiting now that they can put 100 of them inside their house if they wanted to. But letting them know, or hey, this is the kind of pet that you can place if you want one that's going to snuggle up on the couch, or that you'll be able to, put in a certain place, and they'll be able to do that. Um, but I want to revert back again to what I had before. So if we click on the automatic save that it did right before it uploaded our build, hypothetically, I haven't tried this before to use one of the saves. It should import back and get rid of all of this stuff and give us like a bare bones place to place some of these rooms and test out. And it did put us back outside. I will say one thing that I learned the very first time I tried to save and then import an exterior. I did it on the lot, and apparently it trapped me in the build. Like I was stuck between some boulders, um, and had to get into the editor to move it so that I could get out. So if you're on the outside, just stay a little far back. And it did. It actually did this really well. So to show some of these really neat new artisanal rooms, because that's the other thing that people ask me about. I could have cursed myself out, but I was kind of in panic mode, and I was like, "Oh, okay, great. I can get into edit mode and I can move this boulder." So I just moved it out of the way, and I was able to get out, and then I put it back. Um, Probably the coolest of these new rooms are these barns. The autumn one is going to break everything when we try to put it there because I'm not really sure why. Oh, I probably have to put a closet between some of these still, or a hallway for some reason. It's kind of glitches a smidgen. But if you tried to place this one, you don't see anything here, and when you exit out, it just doesn't. Where did it go? That must not be in the right spot. Here it goes. It's our pink. It's our very pink broken space. You can't go in or see anything. I'm not sure why that particular one is broken, um, but it is nonetheless. So we'll go back over here and get rid of that and place its counterpart, the spring barn. And as you can see from just like the overview, you can check out like as you place it, the pieces. These artisanal rooms are really beautiful. However, you can't change anything. So when you come in here, if you wanted to change the floor because you don't like it, or you wanted to move the staircase because you think you would like this side over here, you can't. These things are completely, um, essentially like a backdrop for you to build into. They're really, I like this one a lot. I know they call it a barn, but I can kind of see it as so many different things. Some people say, oh, I could totally see that as a cathedral. Um, I can almost see it as a restaurant or a bar, like stuff up there. So it has the step ups. You can't move anything, but you can build in it. You can partition out new walls if you wanted, or cover things over. You can probably add some lighting to these windows, maybe to make them a little more shiny. I haven't tried that, and I'm curious. Will that make it shine through more? No, not really, from behind anyway. Well, you could still add lighting or, essentially do whatever you want. This isn't really working the way the rugs work when you make stained glass windows and you kind of light them from behind. I know it says that this is a springtime room. I kind of feel like it gives off fall vibe, but that's just me. You can go up the stairs here. It has a really nice loft area that you can build on. This made me laugh because we've got stairs here that you can't actually climb. There's a little trap door that you can't open. However, with that said, you can get up there if you wanted to kind of use a platform as a little elevator and lift yourself. You could technically make your own little stairs up this way that do work. Too close. I gotta move it this way and try not to fall off it. But it is this whole other little lofty space. Here's your door that does absolutely nothing, but it exists. And you got this view from up here. So it is like a nice little hidden kind of space. And I think these are like really great sizes. Unfortunately, the cost to place this room is 18 points out of your overall budget, which I frankly think is a lot. But it is gorgeous and it does give you a lot of um, space to work with and things to change around. Then from there we have you can place your horde rooms or your alliance rooms in either of the homes. You'll notice that the Orgmar ones and the Silver Moon um, blueprints are only able to be purchased from the vendor in the horde neighborhoods and vice versa with the night elf and human ones. But the good thing is you can still place them. So if you have this cute little cottage and you want, you know, one of these like battle rooms, you could you could do it if you want. This one is called the Orgmar display room. It's one of the smaller ones. This one only costs, I think this one was 5 to place. As you can see, it's kind of tiny here. Um, there's not all that much to this one. I do like the ceilings though, because it kind of lets you peek out into the like the outside circle type room. And you know, everybody wants fur trimmed space. But it's definitely rugged. You feel like it's in an orc hut. It kind of matches the vibe they have going on there. Let's see, the little display room. Was I right? Yeah, that one was 5. And this stone pit room is also 5. And you're like, Cordy, with the stone pit room. You know what? I don't really know, other than that they decided they needed this. Um, it's similarly shaped, the room, similarly sized, except for some reason it's got a stone pit. I don't know what you do with it. I always kind of feel like these are like combat rooms, like I could see training dummies or something like this in here. They did do a real nice job on their ceiling. You're able to peek up and see the clouds, which I think is nice. And decently spacious, I think. These next 2 rooms are more points to place. This one is 12, and this is the Orgmar Theater. Oh, I don't know why it put me back up here. I wonder if it glitched or if it actually placed it. Oh, it did place it. Um, so you've got like your little step up onto a theater place. These are kind of neat because you do have little alcoves here. Um, frankly, I like to build windows and things with forced perspective. So this kind of gives you a little closety space that you could do that if you wanted to add some more personalized elements up in this space. You've got your little stairs up to here and another little closety space, little alcove. This one, you get little clouds. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but every time I've placed this room, I've noticed that you get some cloud cover up there at the ceiling. But they all have this kind of like domed room space with the orc. And then the very last one of the orc spaces is 20 points to place. And that one is the council room. It's the largest, as you can see, just from placing it. It's a pretty large room. Um, they call it a council room. This is another one where, frankly, I could see it as, you know, doing PvP in here or something. It's got the little boards, I suppose, if you wanted like a battle station and you wanted to put down a table or deal with it in that way. It definitely has character. Um, you can kind of see how they've got the jagged wood and everything in the corners. It definitely looks like lived in. I feel like these are the fixer-upper houses, like the horde space. Or at least these. Got your little sand pit. And again, your ceilings are um, kind of see-through to the outside. I probably dislike these the most, but that doesn't shock me because I'm not a really huge fan of the orc houses in general and I hide the exterior. If we stick with the orc stuff and we look at the silver moon rooms, they're a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Also, not my thing because I kind of feel like they're super fancy, and that's just not my style really. But they are very pretty. I could see people enjoying them. These have little alcoves right off the bat in this display room. Again, whether you wanted to cover this up a little bit and put a window on each side here, you can do that. I definitely think they did a great job with the flooring, although from what I understand about some of the Silver Moon themed rooms that you can change the flooring in, they don't really have this kind of wooden material that much, so that's something new and that you can't change. I think they did a real great job, again, on their ceilings and all the little details that they have here. Super fancy. This could definitely make a real nice bedroom or something like that as well. It even has like nice archway into that room. And that one is 5 points as well as the other one here is 5 points too. So their display room, and I think their small study is also 5 points. These are not quite as rounded, but like very similar. They have kind of like the domed ceiling as well. You could put a beautiful chandelier up there. This is another one that you could easily make into a bedroom, a small kitchen. Again, the flooring is really gorgeous and all the little details, the little motifs they have going on above the doorway, up on the ceiling. And I think these rooms are, a pretty nice comparable size to a lot of the rooms that we currently have that we're able to place. And obviously they do get bigger. The armory is 12 points to place. You can just see from placement that it's larger. This one has, I did play with this a little bit because I wanted to try to change this and the colors. And even with rugs, it was really hard to try to get it in between here, and it didn't like really shine through with the light at all. But it's a larger space. You could break it up into two tinier rooms if you wanted. The ceiling is lower, not as nice, but you have more of that wood pattern that I was saying you don't really see that much in the standard floors and ceilings that you have for these silver moon type homes. I know a lot of people go wild for this one. It's the loft study, and it is legitimately the biggest um, room out of everything. I think even bigger than the barn. Again, really pretty entryway. You can't change it. You can't decide, hey, you know what? I want this to be wide. These rooms don't work that way. But it's just literally ginormous. Um, you have the second floor. First, you have a step up over here. If you wanted to make this, like, you could put an entire tiny house in here if you wanted to break up the room a bit. You have this little space, this walk up. That's a really nice size by itself. And then they have the little ramp up, this little like observatory space, but another whole level here. That's a also really nice size. Again, super fancy. I probably won't build with it unless someone was like, "Hey, Cordy, I really want to do whatever in this room. Can you help me figure it out?" You do have like a little tiny alcove space, but not really like in some of the other rooms. Very pretty. Like I said, not really that much in terms of my style with all the columns. It reminds me of just I don't know, like a fancy museum or something. And that one was 20 points. Then there's the night elf room. I really like these two. They have a lot of character as well. This is one of the smaller ones. You have like kind of the grassy color, which is very much like night elf druid. They have really beautiful windows here. Little stone area at the end. And the ceiling is really pretty as well, with more of those like skylight type windows. It almost looks like a flower pattern. I definitely see this as being a really beautiful bedroom, um, a living room, a study, really anything. Like you could make a kitchen out of this space. It just definitely fits the blood elf, or I'm sorry, the night elf theme. I could definitely see druids enjoying that space a lot. Um, this is the theater. This one's also 5 points. I don't know why it glitches sometimes and drops me up here, but really nice wide doorway again. This is similar to the motif that we see in some of the walls that we're able to customize already. These are actually like little see-through spaces up here. You, like go through, like little cutout. This one's neat. It has a little step up here. You've got like your rock space. Really pretty. The colors, are really great. I like the ceiling in this room. It kind of reminds me more of like that barn shape, but it matches the colors and stuff of the ones that we can customize. So I feel like these and the Silver Moon ones, aside from the fact that the Silver Moon ones have more wood and added in, really match well. That's another one. That's 5 points. Then you have the 12-point room, which is the meeting room. And you can tell it's way bigger already, so that's where you're spending those 12 points on. You're getting a much larger room. This one has those alcoves that we've talked about with some of the other ones. You could easily turn this into windows or whatever, if you wanted to make it look like a door going to the outside on one side, you absolutely could. It doesn't have like a step up where you would kind of maybe expect something like that in a room that is that's called a meeting room. You would expect kind of more of like a little stagey area, and they don't. That's not there, but definitely a super cool room. This is the temple room, the 20-point room. Um, it's really cool. It has a water feature in there that actually works, which is nice. You can actually put your little feet in the water here. Got the little lily pads. I really like this. I will probably play around with this room to see if I can build kind of like a waterfall-esque thing here and have it pooling into actual real water down here. Definitely excited to give that a go. This room has a bunch of those little alcoves, whether you wanted to add windows or um, just place things in those spaces. It also has it has some windows back there. You could cover them up and build it out to make it look like it's outside. This is your stage type area. It's very foggy, as you see when you look up. I love all the little details on the ceilings. The designers definitely put in a lot of work I think, to make these match really well with the rooms that you would expect to see if you wandered around. We've got a glitch here. We've fallen through. Well, that's how PTR is sometimes. And we got portal back up top, which is totally fine. At least we weren't stuck forever. And then it's just the 4 human rooms real quick to look at. I probably will use some of these. I could see more than a lot of others just because um, I think that they match kind of how I build. And this one has a little step up. Whether you build a kitchen or bedroom or something in this space, but it's what you would expect to see in some of these Stormwind human spaces. One thing that kind of bothers me, I have to say, we have flagstone, and for the love of God, I don't know why they don't match. Um, that kind of kills me a little bit on the inside. It doesn't transition well because you've got this beautiful flagstone and nice grays, and then you get here and it's like, what happened here? So that kind of is weird because it doesn't match in any way, but it's still a nice room. I probably would put other flooring on top of it and maybe like it a little better for that transition. That was the display room. Then they call this one a kitchen. It's a little bit bigger. It has 2 little alcoves here on the side. And this one, instead of having a step up, has a step down when you enter. And it's got tile floor, which is nice. There are definitely some elements that I see here, and I'm like, man, you know what I'd really love if we had these tools available to us to use throughout our house. Like, I would love to be able to have some options to put down stone flooring or, these tile brick-like looking flooring. Hopefully that's something that they'll eventually give us because I feel like that's a missed opportunity. I know I would definitely utilize flooring that looked like that if it was provided to us. I like this room. I definitely I don't know that I'd necessarily make it a kitchen, but I could totally see it how it is. I think it again matches well with the things you might see out and about in Stormwind. This is the bigger 12-point room. It's the armory. It has a step down and a step back up. I really love the windows they have in the alcove here on the side. They already have that stained glass kind of look. Um, I like making the stained glass. I haven't tried playing with this, but just well, I don't even know if I have a rug to do it. Only have the circle. I'm curious if I can get it in between and hide it, or if it's going to be. Oh, there is a collision bug. I just kind of walked into that. In retail, you can kind of build on top of yourself, and it doesn't matter all that much. But in PTR, there's some kind of bug going on where when you build, sometimes you get stuck if it touches you. I don't even know. We'll pick a hot pink because it should. Oh, it's not actually really that bright. Oh, that'll work. Can I get you between the grate? I don't think so. It's a little bigger. Well, you can get it between that, but it doesn't look like that'll be customizable in that way, which would have been really awesome. I would have liked it if you could throw different colors in these little diamond shapes, um, but still really neat nonetheless. You, like I said, you come in, and you've got this space that's kind of up. You step down. You have your theater space, another really large alcove for whatever you would want to build out on that side, a huge one over here. And again, this flagstone floor that doesn't actually match up with the flagstone flooring that we have everywhere else. And then the last room of the artisanal ones that we haven't looked at is the grand hall, which is their 20-point room. This one I can kind of see for sure as like a cathedral or something, just based on the shape of it and how the windows are at the edge. But it has, when you come in, you can either go right or left, and you can step up again into a super huge alcove area. It's the same on the other side. This probably would make a really awesome bar too if it got changed around a bit. They've got these little windows up in the corners here. And you step down, and you have your cool tile. And then at the end, it's the little stage where whether this is a room you convert it into a cathedral type space or you put a bar, a restaurant, some tables, you make yourself a little band area for live music. But these are all really cool. I think they did a good job matching those themes aside from little odds and ends. So that's essentially what we have going on here with pets and those artisanal rooms. I know they are expensive, so for whatever that's worth, you probably couldn't place a whole bunch of these at 20 budget points each. You probably wouldn't want to, but you could certainly make a lot of stuff in this room. This is definitely the size where you could make a tiny house in one of these rooms if you wanted to. I'm not really sure why our pets are not roaming here. Obviously, we've got a glitch because even the ones in our Need more Murlocs. We do need more Murlocs. Unfortunately, all the Murlocs are broken. It has not given us any of our pets. Poor Marmaduke is beside himself. The bestest of boys. And we do have, actually, I have 4 Murlocs now. But they're not called Murlocs. You can't just search for them by Murloc. I think they do come under the humanoid section, though. So if you uncheck them, you go to families, you scroll down to or up, I guess it's the first one, your humanoid. Oh, I break it. I did. Uncheck. Go to humanoid. Here's Glimmer. Then we can place. I really love all the Murlocs. I wish they had more of them that weren't um, locked behind some of the promotions. Can't think of all their names. Oh, you know what? I think I unlocked these after I put my house up in here, so I can place more than one, but all the Murlocs. They are the cutest. I don't know. Our fish tank is broken though. We can't. I'd have to replace them all, and I will do that. I'll actually probably reload and see if that fixes it because we definitely have all the pet spaces. But thank you guys for joining me. It was a lot of fun to try to answer some of the questions that I've had regarding the pets. Like I said, the most important takeaways are they're definitely tinier than you might think. They're definitely not going to fill out a barn really nicely if you built one that's more realistically sized. Um, you can place 100 Murlocs if you of the same kind of Murloc if you want. You don't have to collect, all of them or feel like if you've got 3 and that's the most that you can have of that certain type, you can't place more. So our crazy cat ladies can rejoice. If you want 15 tabby orange cats or 25, you can do that with the same pet. It'll let you just keep on duplicating them. Um, all of the pet beds can be hidden. The pet beds count towards your decor points. Currently, they're 5 points each. However, the pets don't. They count towards their own and decrease off of 100. You'll be capped at that if you want to actually place 100 pets. And obviously, the pet beds can be hidden. Some of the pets take commands, like Marmaduke will sit down, but a lot of them don't. Like this Murloc will be like, I don't know who you think you are trying to tell me to sit down. I don't do that. But you'll see as you play around with it. It's definitely exciting. I think the pathing could use some work since it completely ignores the fact that, a table is a table. And these, like I said, are things that I didn't build. It would be a lot of pets roaming around, but I've heard from a lot of people who are ready to put their 100 pets in their house. So, frankly, I don't even know how that would work in terms of like lag or bogging your system down as you yourself are roaming through the rooms. I suppose the only good thing if you did place like literally 100 pets in here is that they path in a really small space. So you probably would, unless you placed them all in a teeny tiny room in the same spot, they would be more spread out, I guess, which is good. But um, one of the things I kind of felt a little disappointed on was when they announced that they were going to allow pets in, they had, this beautiful rendition of the pet, sitting on the sofa or, pathing the way it would make sense around the furniture, interacting with the furniture more. And they definitely don't do that. I don't I don't think I'd want to handle that. It would be like literally you'd be tripping over the animals while you roamed around. Good thing is that when you go into editing mode, they will like disappear. They'll fade away. So that is definitely a good thing too. And I'm just going to delete all this because I want to try to replace them and have, particularly get the aquarium back to functioning. You can stay, Marmaduke, because you're the bestest. But thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to share all of the builds with all of our pets running around it. I think it's going to allow people to be so creative and add a lot of life. Um, in one of my builds, I was messing around with putting them behind bars, or I had made a big tavern and I had a bunch of the humanoid type pets kind of like roaming around. I couldn't get them to sit on the stool, but they were able to like walk around, and um, I had two monks, like stationary monks, standing up behind the bar. It just kind of gave it a little bit of personality and life. So I think it'll be nice to be able to like set the stage better with stuff like that. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate you all, and have a great evening.